the Clear Glove Projects platform launch, as our council president was referring to in her report. So a couple months ago, we contracted with the company ClearGov in this, that was around the spring, to bring the projects platform to Crafton in 2019. So basically, this is a hub where you can upload project narrative information, bid documents, timelines, some easy to visualize financial information charts. Residents or viewers can subscribe to updates on each infrastructure or general capital project. So we were shooting for the 2019 road program to be the first thing that we added to this platform, and we had enough information between working with the engineers and our team specialist at ClearGov that we were able to launch the 2019 road program project page. So like I said, you can see some photos, budget, what's been expended, what we've still got left to spend, how it's being spent on what roads, what projects, grants, things like that. There's a link on our website to it. It's under the government tab. If you go to current capital projects, it explains a bit about ClearGov, and then you can hit the button to go to the projects section of our ClearGov page. And I do want to make super clear that the budget information that may show up in the current ClearGov page tabs has not been fine-tuned yet. We are planning on adding that piece in 2020. So some of that was just automatically pulled from other, older budgets before we actually signed on to the ClearGov service. The most accurate information about the borough budget can be provided by the administrative office. So I would just advise that until we get that up and running for the 2020 budget year, there may be just some things that are mismatched or misturned in the finance stuff. So focus on the capital projects. But as I said, we are planning to expand the platform in 2020 to include more detailed budget information in general. Some of the other projects that you can look to see pop up on the ClearGov page are the Green Light Go grants, which are in the engineering and design phase. Right now, if we receive the grant for the safety surface in the playground at the main park, that would be on there. Different sewer projects, all those things will get their own project page hub. So this is the big one for this meeting. Just wanted to let you know that it exists officially now. So moving on, just a quick note that the Public Works Department has been working on paving the alleys coming off of McRun. If you may remember, we purchased sort of a mini paver machine a handful of months ago for about $11,000. They've picked up a couple $1,000s worth of hot patch and hot mix asphalt. And they have been milling and paving in-house the alleys of Pine Alley, Nancy Alley, and either Orange Alley, Orange Way, depends on what map you're looking at, but it's the portions that go uphill, not the flat parts, although they are shooting to do all of them this summer, if time and weather allows. But so when they purchased the paver, they replaced the old one and put it out on municipal bid. That sold for about $4,000. So overall, the total cost of this was really low. Between labor and materials, Public Works Department doing it in-house has saved us several $1,000s. And just from doing the resurfacing on those. So got a couple really nice compliments from residents while out and about. The guys are doing a good job. So. Switching gears briefly to the Crafton Volunteer Fire Department, they did record the Fire Chief Mike Crown requested that I sort of put this on your radar, considering passing an ordinance regarding hazardous material cleanup. So basically, they're requesting that you consider this ordinance that would allow them to bill insurance companies when they're called out on a motor vehicle accident or a hazardous spill incident. He did provide a model ordinance from Moon Run Volunteer Fire Company, which is one of the 3 volunteer fire departments that serve Robinson Township. I'm familiar just from my time there, that we didn't run into any issues there, but it's basically just another way for them to generate a revenue stream to reimburse them for the cost of cleaning these things up from vehicle operators that are not already members of the borough. So my advice would be, turn it over to the solicitor, make sure that there's no legal issues there, and then, move on to advertise it for consideration if there aren't any concerns. So, solicitor, do you have any thoughts? Put me on the spot. It's okay if you don't.
No, I know at least one of my other municipalities has adopted this in the past, and it's been successful in allowing that fire department to reimburse themselves through the insurance process. So yeah, I don't know exactly what the Robinson ordinance looks like, but I'm happy to review it and report back to council.
your other municipality would have another.
Another form, yeah,
Okay.
I would be able to put something together.
The American Red Cross is hosting a blood drive here in the community room on August 28th. I believe we have some flyers to sign up if you would like to donate blood. I believe we have 5 out of 23 spots already filled as of Friday. There's a little bit more about that in the community announcements, section, so I won't dwell, but, we have information. They approached us and just said, hey, can we put this on? Cool, no cost to us, so. Last couple items here. This one's a little more on the fun side, but we're still excited about it. It's important. We have an officially declared monarch butterfly way station now in the Crafton Circle, right out here in downtown. So that's a designation you can get by monarchwatch.org. Our code enforcement officer, Susan Chechimowski, recommended that we use some native plants and monarch-friendly flowers when the Shade Tree Commission planted the circle this year. She's pretty involved and knowledgeable about the fact that these the monarch butterflies are quite endangered. They fly down to Mexico in the winter, and need places to kind of stop over, lay their eggs. A lot of the habitat has been destroyed just by the development in the area, and so she saw the opportunity to kind of create something nice. That also looks quite aesthetically pleasing because we get to see it out of our window every day. She also brought in a couple caterpillars that we got to watch go into the cocoons and hatch into butterflies today, and it was a good time, But anyway, it's just a nice community thing. That she kind of spearheaded with the Shade Tree Commission, and we put in our application to officially have the circle become a way station once we saw the butterflies popping in. We'll have our signs coming in soon. Those are on the bill list to order, and they'll be up in the garden to sort of show it off. And if people are passing by, they can learn more about the habitat. So thank you to all the volunteers for their hard work to make this happen. Less fun, more technical. Website content additions. This is a follow-up to a request that we got from council at our last meeting for some website content additions regarding tax and millage info and a couple resources for lead safety and utility bill assistance. So the tax page has been updated with information on millage rates for the borough, school district, and the county. Some general information on how to calculate millage if anybody has any questions. And a new page has actually been added under the community tab for additional resources. So the borough staff can collect and post links and flyers to programs, utility assistance, home repairs, things like that. It's still kind of under construction, but the items that came up at the last meeting have been added, and we threw on a couple more regarding utility assistance. Our code enforcement officer has actually built out sort of a paper list that she hands out to people that are having trouble maintaining their property. Just, these are people that may be able to give you a hand. It's, nonprofit community groups, so we're going to be working on adding those as well. So if anyone has any submissions, information, let us know. We'll pop it up out there, sort them into categories. Last item, the Planning Commission monthly recap reports. I kind of just wanted to flag this to everybody that the Planning Commission Chair, Lydia Herrings, is putting these together. They have their monthly meeting the day after our second council meeting, so she preferred to provide these at the first monthly meeting rather than the second, with the rest of the reports. So she sort of just recaps things that were discussed, activities they're working on, different things that came up. So that'll be in your online packets for your perusal if you have any questions. And that's everything. A lot of topics I know, so if anyone remembers their questions from 3 topics ago or something, feel free.
Any questions to address to the manager at this point?
We had talked about maybe a report about the dinner, the senior dinner. Are we going to be getting that report?
I believe there was one uploaded in last month's packet reports, but if not, I'll double check and get it over to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nice.
It could have been that we missed it because it's new,
Commission.
but we do have one.
You
There.
know.
Right, that's the recreation.
For the senior dinner, the
Senior
attendance
right.
fees, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the business agenda, administration. I will entertain a motion to accept the bid from Cargill Incorporated via the Shaycog Purchasing Alliance for the purchase and bulk delivery of rock salt at $82.24 per ton for the 2019 2020 winter season with the option to extend for up to 2 additional years.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1659, amending chapter 177 of the Crafton Borough Code of Ordinances, sewers and sewage disposal for the purpose of establishing a shared cost backflow prevention device installation mini grant program.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve an ordinance amending chapter 214 of the Crafton Borough Code of Ordinances, Vehicles and Traffic, to prohibit parking on the westerly side of Crennel Avenue between Broadhead Avenue and 55 Crennel Avenue.
So moved. Can I ask a question?
We've got to have a second first. Hearing
No seconds?
Hearing no seconds.
Second.
All right, questions, comments?
Two quick questions. So you said that there's already no parking there?
There's a yellow line that's painted in the area.
So
From the corner, it's not very far.
it doesn't need to be read in as an ordinance if it's already no parking.
That's not actually enforceable.
It has to have an ordinance in order for tickets to be written.
There you go.
You can write a ticket, but somebody could beat it.
And what qualifies as a traffic study is somebody measured the width of the road?
Yeah, in this situation.
Yeah, but no
yes.
parking, yes.
It has to be, the PennDOT specs are to disallow parking is you have to be able to have 2 cars passing with each side of the road parked at the same time. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was back in the fall that our public works director took the measurement and it did qualify as we were able to make it no parking.
The stop sign and speed limit traffic studies are much more involved and complicated than a no parking zone.
And you said it did qualify or it did not?
Yes,
It did,
did.
yes. Hence, yeah, we wouldn't put it up if it was.
So how liable are we if there's an accident and we don't go ahead with this? How liable is the borough?
Hard to say. It depends on a lot of different factors related to the site distance, triangle, et cetera, from the turns. But from a no parking perspective, there's probably little to no liability.
And to be clear, this is just the portion that essentially affects right turns out of Broadhead.
So ostensibly, this is the side of the street that has the yellow line, and that yellow line is currently not enforceable. So based on a cursory drive down Canal, one would assume that there was no parking there because of the yellow line, correct?
There has to be a sign, there has to be an ordinance.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious as to, like, there was a yellow line painted there, right?
That's
So the
what we've been
implication is
told,
that-
yes.
Yeah.
There's no parking where a
There's a
yellow line-
portion, I think there's a little bit extra in between the driveway and the service king and where the yellow line that was painted ends that is not painted.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's been established that in order to be enforceable, we have to have an ordinance.
So I guess my point is that the majority, well, I'll speak for myself. When I see a yellow line, I assume I can't park there. So I'm not really thinking of parking anywhere there's a yellow line. This is simply just adding teeth to what we've already implied shouldn't happen there, correct?
That's a fair statement, yes.
So presumably, one would say that a lot of people are already not parking there because they see a yellow line and they move on down the road.
I would not suppose for anybody.
Who painted the yellow line?
Can we make a comment at that point?
Not at this point.
That yellow line is only 8 foot.
That's
From
the,
From the corner
Right.
up.
there's a portion of it,
Right,
essentially.
so basically, we have a proposed ordinance on the table to be voted on.
Well, I guess I'm in favor of the ordinance, and I'll speak in favor of it because I'm simply stating that, from my perspective, it seems as though we're simply adding the necessary legal perspective for something that we've already stated we wish to. Another council put that line there, correct?
We don't know when that line is painted.
Right,
or by
we do not know, we don't know, but that's fine, thank you for your
Yeah,
statement
that's
and for
generally
your
where I'm at on
position.
this ordinance.
Okay, Philip,
What is the opinion of the manager in this? What's the recommendation?
As I measure on Google Maps here. Speaking very specifically to this ordinance that is on the table, I think there is a line of sight issue. If somebody is turning right, they will end up in the other lane. It's about,
we also have a community member who has stated that with or without parking, because of the degree of the turn, you're going to be, when you make the turn, you're going to be over the yellow line.
Okay, may I ask
Phil?
another question?
Yes, please.
May I direct the question to the mayor?
Absolutely. Mayor, will you take the question?
Per the motor vehicle code, what is the maximum number of inches one can park from a curb?
I believe it was written at 12 inches. Under has to be 12 inches or under from the curb, if I remember correctly from the vehicle code. And then it specifically states in the vehicle code the distance from the intersection line that you're not allowed to park to a corner. And that doesn't need a sign or anything. That's, vehicle code states you're not allowed to park within 30 feet of an
30
intersection.
feet, but I mean,
But-
that's what the yellow line is.
Right, but I'm saying, but the law's already in place for the 30 feet from the corner. Okay, that's already there. It's in the books. So the borough painted the yellow line as a help to let you know that from this point back is 25 feet or 30 feet to the intersection, so you can't park in this area, you know.
By state
the-
code.
So this is this yellow line that everybody's
That's the
referring to?
problem, yes.
Okay.
There's no yellow line all the way up Crafton.
I
No.
think this is about a 50-foot all told from the corner intersection.
The area.
Curb, yeah, maybe a little longer if Google Maps is off.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or comments by the
But on my
body?
comment, it just seems like there's other reasonable solutions that should be pursued.
All right.
Can
Yeah,
can we have Mr. Councilman Boucher expand on those ideas, since this would be the time and place for those ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, first of all, that church is probably the single largest institution in our community, so we should be supporting them, as opposed to not making it more difficult for people to park there. Second of all, we haven't explored, and I'll speak to the next one in lump sum with this. We haven't explored moving to where that stripe is.
That was introduced in a conversation. Was that an informal?
Well, but
Or
that,
here last week, but not resolved.
but this
Right,
was not
yeah,
regarding
yeah,
this
it
portion.
doesn't
Right.
seem like this is the time or place to be voting for either of these measures because they're not fully vetted.
I mean, to be
You
clear.
can't unwrite, we're putting this into an ordinance, you can't undo that very easily. So it seems like there's a lot more that could be explored and done before you say yes or no in terms of entertaining a vote on this.
So are you suggesting tabling?
I'm suggesting tabling vote.
And we have a suggestion.
You would have to make a motion.
A motion.
And that's not debate. Motion is to table or not debate.
Motion is the table vote.
Okay.
There has
Okay,
to be a
let's one at a
second.
time.
Oh, I see, yep.
One at a time.
There has to be a second.
Do we have a second to table the motion about parking on Purnell for further discussion? A second,
Second.
all right? And so,
No debate?
no debate, it's tabled.
No, we have to
Take
take a vote.
Take a
I have to
roll
take-
call.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kraus,
No.
Ms. Damitz,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser,
Yes.
Mr. Lavasser,
Yes.
Mr. Valchef,
Yes.
Mr. Amendola,
Yes.
Ms. Perry.
Yes.
It is 6-1.
I have a question for the president. This is in relation to the motion, even though it's tabled. It seems that, from what I'm gathering from what we hear.
So I believe that the
The
motion
motion's
was tabled,
Correct.
and we're gonna move on to the next motion.
So let's go
We
with
can have,
point of parliamentary inquiry.
okay,
It would seem to me that there seems to be some misunderstanding from members of the community vis-à-vis the representatives here on the dais and the administration as to what would constitute a proper traffic study. Mr. Gay's points were well made, that he actually did due diligence to have some angles and some factual numbers. And I know certain council persons on this dais also want that information. So since this is a very controversial topic and we should tread lightly and carefully, is it possible we can expand Mr. Kozrowski's traffic study?
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we are, you know, the motion was not tabled, it was not voted against.
Sure.
And I think points have been made that there may be other solutions that could be investigated, and we will absolutely do that.
Yeah, I guess I'm specifically asking for the president and the manager to commit to, and the public works director had to be here, to do a more thorough study of the sightlines, the training radiuses.
Right, I will,
I do want to note, I wish, unfortunately Rob is on vacation, but
I'm not gonna get
if I could find it where it's
Hold
written
on.
down somewhere, he already did the measurements for these streets or.
no, we understand that, we understand that,
Okay,
but
so we do know.
we're talking about
Maybe it's as
options
simple as
that
a no right
exceed.
turn, right,
Yes.
coming up that hill, no longer a right.
So, I mean, there are a number of issues that can be investigated. We could actually engage Gateway to do a study and make the suggestions, so that we have professional input on the subject. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Philip?
Later in the meeting, once I have a moment to put my thoughts together, I'm
Okay.
going to make a motion for such.
Okay, thank you very much.
For the engineers to.
Yeah, okay, very good, then we'll move on, and then we'll talk about that a
Before
little
we
bit
do it, can we
later.
investigate who's painting the lines and, because there's lines painted at the elementary school.
That's a whole other issue, Marcia, that will come
All
up
right.
under discussion items that has nothing to do with what's on the table at this point. Okay?
Just a comment, coming out of Broadhead there, the yellow line from the corner about 25 or 30 feet up. Very simply, you know, if we would have voted this down, I think we could have gotten a commitment from the police department to enforce that yellow line, to keep those people away 25 or 30 feet from that corner, so that the eyes,
And I
so
think
people
these
can
are
see.
all up for
You just gotta be a little
discussion.
careful coming up out of there, but,
So-
you know, I don't necessarily agree with getting the engineers all into this and all, you know, it's pretty simple, and we should probably just keep it as simple as possible. If we enforce that 30-foot or 25-foot from the corner, the problem is solved, I think, but.
All right, thank you, Mr. Alvarado. All right, moving on. Okay. Motion to approve an ordinance amending chapter 214 of the Crafton Borough Code of Ordinances, Vehicles and Traffic, to prohibit parking on the westerly side of West Crafton Avenue between Steuben Street and the intersection of West Crafton Avenue and Kreml Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Questions and comments?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Mr. Gay came in and and said that that's 36 foot. Rob's measured it. That 36 foot, you can go anywhere around town and find streets that are gonna have the exact same measurements. And if we voted to, if we voted positive on this ordinance, we're just opening up a can of worms. It could happen anywhere on any street. Belvedere Street, you know, you're gonna eliminate parking on Belvedere Street because people have to wait courtesy when the other car comes through. Any other street in town, they're same.
East Crafton.
And East Crafton Avenue, and that's another one. You know, I'm gonna be against this ordinance because we don't wanna close doors to the church. We wanna open the doors. We want businesses to not close their doors, but to open them. And well, that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
I do. I do want to clarify the record, at least from my perspective, and make sure that it's loud that I personally, you know, may use my vote nay or yay or nay, but I in no way am anti-Catholic or anti-church. And I don't think that the implication that somehow we are using this as we support a parking ordinance that is safe is somehow, you know, tantamount that we don't support our local businesses. I think that is a slippery slope argument, and in no way, shape, or form are the two intermingled. If we said the traffic circle needs to be enforced, does that mean we don't support the Circle Inn or the Borough building? I don't think we want to make those kind of slippery slope leaps. So I think we should keep it focused on just the traffic that we've seen going up and down the street. To Mr. Amendola's point, it's well made, and Mayor Bloom's point is well made. There has not been any traffic incidences that the police are aware of, so we should take that into consideration. However, I think we should be aware of the fact that our community is changing rapidly, and a lot of folks are taking that corridor that are on their phones, that have their heads down, that are pointing at their GPS systems, that are got their heads turned on a swivel. I think we all realize that in today's day and age that what used to constitute safe driving may not be very safe. I don't know if we want to try and be very safe is my point. So it's a major thoroughfare through our town where we have a lot of people coming and going that aren't familiar with the particular nuances. So I'd just like to make sure that we don't close ourselves off from that fact that we have a lot of folks taking that route that aren't familiar with Crafton, as some of the residents here are.
Thank you.
We really can't prevent people from texting or using their phones. I mean, we're not gonna change the whole.
He's made his point, you've made yours. Does anybody else have any other comment? Mayor, I will take your comment as well.
Thank you. I'm more than familiar with the intersection. As a police officer for all the years, 31 years. The comment that was made in the letter by the pastor was no different than a comment made by anyone that sat here. That's his opinion, or your opinion, and that was it. He gave his opinion. The borough has nothing to do with what his comment was, okay? So if he would have came here and said the same thing, it was no difference, Brad. It was just his comment. Not that, you know, we were condoning or not. For the parking over there, it's been going on as long as I've been in Crafton, which is all my life. There's never been any issues with accidents. I never took an accident report in all the years. As Fred said before, it's a courtesy. You know that the situation, just for that 4-hour period on Sunday and a 2-hour period on Saturday, that's it. Not the whole week, just one day. Saturday evening, Sunday. And people come down the hill, they come over the hill, they look down and come up. And with this traffic study you're suggesting is maybe, I'm not sure where that center line is, but I believe at one time it was off center. And then, but PennDOT comes by and they just go whipping up the hill and they just paint the middle of the street again. And it was off center at one time to permit this type of parking. I don't think this ordinance myself should be passed So I don't have a vote, but I think that your communities need consideration from your council on what goes on. That's a huge building that creates a lot of people into the community, and you'd sure hate them to lock their doors on us and have it